So I purchased one of these ARC disc-bound notebooks, and my plan is to make a different type of cover for it. So I have the backing board from a watercolor pad that I was going to use for my support that I'm going to decorate. And I also have one of these ARC punches that I was planning on using to make my interface. Unfortunately, my cardboard, although it is not super thick, is too thick to fit into my ARC punch. So I had to get a little bit creative. And I happen to have one of these little guys here, big guys here, and I figured out how to make this work for this application, and I thought I would share it with you. So if you happen to have one of these and you want to make a cover to work with this disc system, I'll show you how I figured it out. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to cut your board to the right size. And this was just a half of a 9.5 by 11, but then I'm sorry, of a 9 by 12. Let me just move this out of the way. So this is a half of a 9 by 12, and then I trimmed it down a little bit more just so it could fit left to right. So this happens to be 8 3/4 wide. Now, this dimension is slightly shorter. I don't know if you can see, it's slightly shorter than the cover that comes with the book. But that's fine because this will still cover the paper in there, so I'm okay doing that. Of course, you can use any size paper that you like that works for your application, but for me, I'm just going to use this half sheet of cardboard that was trimmed down to 8 3/4 on the long side. Now, the next thing you want to do, if you've ever used one of these before, you know that these little pins move in and out to engage the cutters, the punches. And so what I want to do is I want to have a hole punched every inch. So if you measure this, you will see that a standard book has a hole every inch. Okay? So that's what I want. I need 8 holes, and I need them to be spaced apart every inch. Now, this only has 12 holes, and that's double. So if I choose every other one, I'm only going to get 6. And that's fine. That just means I have to do, slide it down and do an extra punch on it. So the first thing I want to do is to figure out where my first hole is going. And this isn't going to be 100% perfect, but it'll be good enough for what we're doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my cover off. I'm going to use this as a template, but you won't need to do that because I will tell you what the dimensions are. So if I just mark that first hole, that's the only one I'm worried about because everything else is going to be automatic. Just want to see. Since this is 8 3/4, it's not going to be exactly an inch off the side. It is 7/8. Should be about 7/8 off of each side. And that's about right. So I marked off about 7/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to just sort of line this up by eye and push this back and see where I end up here. So what I want to do, that to me looks like it's lined up properly. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at my first hole and I'm looking at the first peg and I'm seeing where I land, and it looks like I'm landing, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to mark against. If I'm looking against this first tick mark on here, I don't know if you can see that. So the first tick mark on here is lining up just shy of 1.5 on that scale. Okay, so let me just double check that again. Let's see if I go a little bit further. Yeah, I want to go back. So it's not a nice even number, but it does look like it's centered nicely. Okay, so once you have that set, that's going to be your guide. You want to slide this in. And like I said, I'm pushing in 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. So those are the ones that are going to punch. I'm pressing this all the way in, and then I'm just going to press and release. And I'm going to compare this to my book. You can see that did a fairly good job centering that. So I'm just missing 2 holes over here. Just missing 2 holes. So what you do with this is if you have extra holes, usually, I don't know if I can go this far. I don't want to bring this, I don't want this to come all the way out, but you can catch one of these holes. There's a little pin right here that you can push down, and you just slide it until you catch one of the previous holes that you already did, which is that one. Actually, I need to look at this and see where I am. So I've got 2 holes. I've got 2 holes that are already punched, so I don't need those punched. So I'm going to pull 1 and 3 back out again because I don't really need those. Okay? I'm going to need 2 more holes, and so this is lining up with 5 and 7. I don't want to punch 9, and it doesn't really matter, but I don't want to punch 11. So I don't want to end up with a little mark on the end here. So I'm just leaving 5 and 7 pressed in. I'm lining my pin up with this 4th hole in. Okay, so 2 left on this side. So my 4th hole in, and I'm making it nice and square, and then I'm going to go ahead and punch, and you have to lift the pin up to release it, and that's how you do that. Okay, now I'm not quite done yet. That's part A. Part B is for these little disc systems, you need, if I can show you on this, you need to have a little opening on the end so that this can slide on. Okay, just a little gap. And so all you really need is to cut a little, get a pair of scissors and cut a hole, a little slot in the edge. And you want to try to sort of center it. And you want to try to get it, you know, just a little tab. But again, this is not rocket science. I'm not getting super concerned with if it's centered or if each one of my slots is the same. You just need this to be big enough to slide over the disc, get into place. And I will warn you that this is, you know, you can slide it on and off a couple times, but you're not going to want to make this something that you pop on and off on a regular basis. If for some reason you think you're going to want to do that, this probably isn't the best material for you to use for your base. And I will be doing some other tutorials that show different materials that are better designed to use with this. But that's basically it. So I cut some slots in there, and I'm just going to line it up, and I'm just going to press it and get it on there. And like I said, the cardboard is really not designed to be flexible. It's pretty rigid, so it'll bend just a little bit as you're trying to get them on there. Just want to open those up a little bit. They were a little small. You don't want to get them too big because then this is not going to want to stay on. But I'm just going to force this on here, and as long as I don't mess with this too much. Now I would probably wait until after my decorating was done before I did this, but I just wanted to show you that it works pretty well. So now you have a homemade base, cardboard base that you can use to decorate any way you like. and create a custom cover for this. And it didn't even require that you had an arc punch. Okay, well, I will be back with some more videos to show you how to turn this into a beautiful encaustic cover, and I'll show you, like I said, some other materials that you can use to do something very similar. Okay, until then, have a great day.